Over the years, remasters and remakes have become a huge thing in gaming to the point where it's getting a bit too overdone. Companies have learnt that instead of taking time and actually making a whole new game or IP, they can just cash in on everyone's nostalgia instead to make a quick buck with low risk. But they aren't all bad. You know, one of my favourite games of all time is FF7 Remake, but then you get some that are actually worse than the original, like the GTA trilogy. Sometimes you'll just get a mighty fine remake like the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, beautifully done, everything running smoothly, DLC for free, and all 3 games with a nice price tag to top it off. Absolutely orgasmic. But then you get Pokemon Diamond and Chisel Pearl, a game that is worse. They didn't even bother to add the extra stuff everyone actually liked in Platinum. In fact, they didn't even bother to add anything apart from the underground and fairy types. So in this video, I'm going to make a list of things you should and shouldn't do in remakes and remasters. Shouldn't do: milk a game to its absolute death. The fact they've sold 3 versions of The Last of Us 1 is crazy. I get that gaming has improved over those 10 years, but remastering the same game twice in that time just seems unnecessary. What is even more unnecessary is remastering The Last of Us 2, which came out in 2020, the same year as the PS5. Now, you can pay $10 to upgrade the PS4 version to the remastered version if you have it, obviously. If not, you're paying $45. I wouldn't mind if they bundled the 2 games together, but selling them separate for that much a piece is a bit stupid. Rockstar have done the same. GTA 5 also has 3 remasters with not much difference between them, but with the PS5 version of GTA, you get the story for free if you have the PS4 version, but you have to buy online mods separate for some stupid reason. There's also Donkey Kong Returns, which is having its 2nd remake, which is sad because this is the history of modern Donkey Kong game. Give my boy DK a new game, man. Should do. Add new content to the remaster. Luigi's Mansion 2 has nothing new to the game. They've changed some UI and a Boo's name, but that's about it. Yeah, it was originally on the 3DS, but that doesn't warrant a £40 price tag. But with Sonic Generations, we have obviously the remaster of the main game with the addition of Shadow and his own storyline too. They've added a whole new white space hub world for Shadow designed around the open zone gameplay of Sonic Frontiers, where you can use Shadow's new powers to help access new areas and secrets, something you couldn't even do as Sonic in the main game. They're also actually giving the man some lore, the first time since Sonic 06. All of these additions for the same price as Luigi's Mansion. 40 damn buckaroos. Even Mario 3D World added new content with Bowser's Fury, a separate story mode for the same price as the original Wii U version. Shouldn't do. Somehow make it worse than the original. Sonic Colors Ultimate is a victim of this, as somehow they made the newer version run even worse than the original. It was full of bugs and glitches even after 2 to 3 patches, and if you ask people if it's worth it, they'll probably tell you to play the original on Dolphin. Same with the GTA trilogy I mentioned at the start. It was that bad it's now known as one of the worst remasters of all time, with people choosing the OG versions over the new and improved. Again, like mentioned in the beginning, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. When Pokemon Platinum exists, there is literally no reason to choose the remakes. They could have added all Platinum content to both of these games and it would have seen a lot more success, but since they didn't, people class these remakes as the worse version. Shouldn't do. Unlist the original game so people are forced to buy the remake. A big one is Warcraft 3, as Warcraft 3 Reforged is apparently a terrible game. I couldn't tell you, I haven't played it. But Active Blizzard decided to completely remove the original just so people would play the remaster. This is bad even if the remake is a million times better than the original, because what if people want to experience the older game? Just because the game runs at 7 million K and has insane graphics doesn't mean people won't go back to try the original. That's like removing the original version of FF7 since the remake did so well, but in this case both games have completely different gameplay and story. Are you just going to remove that and let FF7 fans never experience a complete new story? Plus, from a business perspective, it makes zero sense, because if the remake does turn out to be absolute dog shit, then people can buy the original and then boom, you've still made some schmuckers. Should do. Keep the original game up. Should do. Remaster games that actually deserve remastering. A lot of people give Nintendo slack because they do make a lot of remakes, let's be honest. Sure, they'll remaster games that came out on the Wii U, but they also remaster games like the Dragon Quest series. Recently revealed was Dragon Quest 1, 2 and 3 remasters, which were all made in the 80s for the NES and the Game Boy Color. Very old games giving a big upgrade, making it more appealing for a newer audience and giving the older audience the opportunity to revisit the games they played growing up. The same thing with the Spyro trilogy, all 3 games remade to look incredible and play a lot better than the originals, giving it a new spark to thrive in the modern era, which very much worked since the Spyro Reignited trilogy is the highest selling Spyro game with over 10 million copies sold. The same happened with Crash Bandicoot, a character everyone wanted to see return, and return he did with the Insane trilogy, a perfect remake that makes the games a lot better. Improved controls, level design and obviously graphics made the Insane trilogy boom in popularity, with that game selling over 20 million copies, again being the best selling Crash game, and in this case it gave them the platform to make Crash Bandicoot 4, which also saw success with over 5 million copies sold. It's a really good way to bring back an old beloved series, and it also sets up a comeback of said series also. Shouldn't do. The bare minimum. Some remasters really are companies just upping the resolution and calling it a day. This is exactly what happened with the controversial Mario 3D All-Stars. Games looked a little better, but it was nothing to write home about. All the things people wanted to see, like better controls for Mario Sunshine, a better camera for Mario 64 and Galaxy, also making Mario feel a little faster in Galaxy, were all ignored, and instead we got given the bare minimum. On top of that, they sold limited copies, so now the game will most likely never go down in price. A terrible way to handle any remaster really, but since it sold over 9 million copies in the short time it was available, I don't doubt this will continue to be the norm. Should do. Add the DLC content. Since Row 3 did this and people were happy, free DLC equals a happy life. Shouldn't do. Remove content from the original. Resident Evil 3 did this and people really didn't like it at all, resulting in not happy life. Shouldn't do. Remake a game and change the main voice actor because everyone will hate it, which is exactly what Dead Rising have done. Everyone is already hating on it because the original voice actor is just not in the game. Should do. Bundle games together. People will most likely buy them because they think, you know what, I'm getting 3 games for the price of 1. I'm going to buy these games, and especially if it's the person's first time ever playing the games, it's really helpful. To be honest, I think they should do this if they do actually remaster God of War 1 to 3, and if they do remaster the PSP like spin-offs and stuff like that. But yeah, that's about everything that I can think of. Let me know your should or shouldn't do's in the comments, and let me know which ones you agree with and disagree with. I do like remasters. I think they can have a really good impact, but I also think they do get boring, like when you watch a direct and they announce 70 remasters, but then they announce like 3 new titles that will probably all just be ported onto the next console, so there's not really much to be hyped about. But yeah, I do play remasters and I do like them, but I do like to see good remakes and remasters instead of, you know, just the laziest boring remaster that's ever been seen, to the point where people wonder why they even bothered to do it. But yeah, that's it.